Hey guys, my name is Angel Diaz, future 2026 X-ray tech. I know I'm gonna pass, so I'm coming to you guys to talk to you guys about another modality I am interested in. The only other modality that really catches my eye besides X-ray, the one I want to move into the most, would probably have to be cath lab. Cath lab just kind of the way I see it function, the way I see how it helps people, it just looks so interesting and cool to me. And then, you can still get that like trauma kind of feeling of helping someone immediately in danger or feeling like you're saving a life. And then you get your day-to-day procedures where, some days it can be relaxing and some days it can be just like chill. So, cath lab essentially is C-arm work all day. If you don't know how C-arm works, there's an image intensifier at the top and your X-ray tube at the bottom. Now, most people, when they think of X-ray, they think it shoots from kind of like a tube from a board. And it's essentially the same concept, except now it's shooting the tube and the board are connected into one. So the tube will shoot from below the patient or a side angle, but usually always below. There's never ever a top angle from what I've ever seen and whoever ever asked. It will shoot from below the patient, do the thing, radiate the patient, pass through, and attenuate onto the board or the image intensifier. And then the board will catch the image. Usually in cath lab, the images you're trying to catch is not bone, but veins and arteries. It's stuff like that you want to see. You want to see blockages. You want to see if a vein is collapsing on itself. You want to see what's going on in people's vascular system. And that's extremely important, especially in this day and age where the older generation's biggest thing is heart defects. The biggest number one death is anything with heart related, high cholesterol, high blockage, heart attack, stuff like that. It's a huge thing in today's day and age. So it's a great thing to get into. I love it. So, the cool thing about cath lab too is it has a built-in magnifier on the image intensifier. So let's say the vessel's really small. It doesn't look that good. It doesn't, the doctor can't really get a good angle. Cool. Press a button right there, it magnifies it. Still too small, press the button again. Magnifies it times 2. There's no way the doctor's missing that angle. There's no way. Promise you. If he's missing that vein, then he's got to get some glasses. I'm going to be honest. All right. So that's how it works. Now, I told you a little bit of the pathologies. It's mainly for veins. It can be used for heart attacks, stimulants. Sometimes if they need to place a vein in there, cool. Or not a vein, sorry. They need to place a balloon in a vein to keep it open, That's also another thing goes. Usually it enters from the femoral artery all the way down there because it's directly connected to the heart, and it'll go all the way up. Now, to make sure to see those veins, because when you shoot an X-ray, you don't really see the veins. They're kind of radiolucent. What do? We shoot some contrast in there. Now, if you don't know what contrast is like a dye, and it's has a high atomic number. So what that means is when we shoot it, due to that high atomic number, it's like if you were looking at metal. It's extremely white. It has an extremely distinct color that you can't miss. So, you find the issue, you find what's going on. If there's a blockage, shoot the contrast in. If the contrast isn't moving past a certain angle, like you'll follow it along with the vein, taking images as you go, you found the blockage. Great. Now, let's say you open up the blockage. What else can contrast be used for? It can be used for if the actual medical device is working. You put a balloon in there, a catheter, whatever, it opens up the vein. Now you put dye in there to see if the blood's actually moving through, to see what's going on. So it's used for a lot of things. And then it's kind of used as a routine procedure every day. It doesn't have to be for emergencies. You can do it for let's say a patient has a really closed artery and they're not in danger right now, but in the future they can be. They come in for a regular procedure and they get that done. Also, another very important thing is pacemakers. Pacemakers are often used very well for cath lab. You know, people need pacemakers all the time. It's used for all kinds of stuff. Now, the energy cath lab uses obviously use x-rays, you know. But the one dilemma with using x-rays is you can't run behind a wall like if it was an x-ray, a regular x-ray. You can't go run behind a wall, run behind protection, run behind anything. You can put on some a lead apron, a thyroid shield, you know, some of your lead glasses. You can put any of that stuff on. But due to you not being behind any protection, not being able to run behind any protection, the dose is a lot higher than you would get from a regular x-ray, you know. So you kind of have to weigh your pros and cons. Do you want to get into it, you know, but you do get a higher dose. But if you take the appropriate measures, it shouldn't be that high of a dose, as long as you wear your appropriate lead aprons and stuff. And sometimes you have to do continuous images, so that's basically like a live image where you hold the button down on stop, and that obviously raises your dose instead of just one static image. So usually it's used for obviously the cardiac system, vascular system. That is the biggest function it has. It's not going to touch anything else besides those two things. So that's pretty much a great thing. All the pros of this modality, which I do really like, is the kind of lifestyle you have. It's great pay. You know, you get into it, you start at great pay immediately. It's needed everywhere. The job security is everywhere. You go to any country, any state in America, you're going to have a job. You're going to have some job security. There's plenty of work to do, plenty of money to be made. And as first year, second year x-ray students, you know, where you got that burning passion to make all that money and pay off your debt, or, you know, spend money, it's great. You also get to work in a team. So with x-ray, yeah, you're working as a team, but you're kind of independently tackling a problem. You know, you guys find out what you guys need to do as a team, and then you guys each tackle any problem. Now in cath lab, it's one big team attacking one problem. You're working with multiple other people, the doctor, the cardiologist, yourself, usually a nurse, and some kind of other person is there, like a tech, or not a scrub tech, or other nurse. And it is working in a sterile field, so that is pretty cool. You're basically kind of into surgery if you're into that. Now, with that big money, with that big ball and issues, also comes with some dilemmas. Due to cath lab needing to be around 24/7 for STEMI alerts like heart attack and stuff like that, you can be on call a lot. Now, on the good thing, if you are on call, you can make money. If you come in, you're going to be making your money. That's great. But also, sometimes you don't want to come back to work. You want the day off, but you're still on call. You have your obligations. You have to come in. So there's that if you want to weigh your pros and cons. I think it's worth it because I also feel like I'm saving a life. You know, I feel like I'm directly changing this person's life. I'm saving him. He's going to be able to live, he or she's going to be able to live a long future. And hopefully, you know, I can continue doing that in my life besides just shooting x-rays. Now, some cons. Obviously, the occupation dose is pretty high, the on-call. And then, you know, what if you don't like working in a team? What if you like being independent like you do an x-ray? You just get your order, go do your independent stuff, and do your other things. Yeah, that's another con. So you have to weigh them out. Do you like working in a team? Do you like being alone? I don't mind either. I kind of do like working in a team. I kind of do. Sometimes I do kind of want to work alone. You know, my social battery runs out. But all in all, cath lab always caught my interest. I always really liked it, you know. And then really, it's just great to go into. I don't see any issues. Oh, and one last topic I forgot: the patient preparation. So usually, you kind of just you inform the patient about the procedure that's going to happen, whatever procedure is going to happen, and you treat it as a surgical field. The doctor is going to lead the procedure. Obviously, you're gonna be there ready with the camera, and if you work enough with the doctor, you already know what he's gonna want. Oh, he's gonna want this image at this angle. He's gonna want this at that, whatever. But obviously, if you're getting into a new, you're gonna have to work with the doctor closely, see what he likes, get to know him, get to learn your team. And then for patient preparation, it's just same as the surgical field. You drape them, drape your C-arm, sterilize the area, kind of just set up your equipment in a way the doctor can see it, but it's out of everyone's way. So all in all, I can't wait to go work into X-ray, but I also can't wait to kind of cross-train to cath lab, learn what's going on, see if I really like it, because at the end of the day, I haven't fully tried it, but I would love to, and it does catch my interest. Thank you guys. Have a good day.